Chapter 21. The Source of Action. Every being has a spiritual root that is far beyond our psychology, our soul, spirit, or mind. Our root is a spiritual star, a radiating light that is beyond any type of individuality or sense of I. Some religions call this root intelligence God, Allah, Adi Buddha, Ein Sof, Tao, Brahma, and many other names. All point towards the same fundamental reality about which all of us are in the utmost state of ignorance. Yet, our deepest inner reality is one law, the will of that which is. When we do not know the will of our innermost being, then our actions are mistaken, and we acquire the consequences of our actions. Only those who awaken consciousness and free themselves from self-will, desire, can know and act upon the will of that which is. Then they are in harmony with the infinite and have all the powers of the divine at their disposal to act for the benefit of all suffering beings. The will of divine is the first law. It is the one law. To know and act upon this law is to know and converse with God. Moses, Muhammad, Krishna, Padmasambhava, Tsongkhapa, Buddha, and many other masters performed the will of the one law. It is the ultimate goal of each living creature to attain reunion, Redagare Yoga, with its primordial source. Yet, this does not happen automatically. It is a work of willpower. Nature does not make gods, only animals, plants, and minerals. A fully developed human organism commands nature inside of him and outside of him. Such a person is not a slave of nature, but a king or queen of nature. His divinity is the presence of the one law within. For those who have not awakened consciousness enough to access the one law, the divine provides a guide to reach that level. It is called the second law, and it is constituted by the instructions given in the heart of every genuine religion. To reach the first law, we must first live by the second law. Those who reach the first law are no longer bound by the second law. This is why many great masters have performed actions that contradict the second law. A being becomes a true master by incarnating and perfecting the first law, the being in themselves. Usually, those who follow the second law condemn the incarnations of the first law because they cannot understand them. This first law is the will of our own innermost being, not others, an action that is lawful for our own being and for us to perform may be wrong for another person. This is how we can understand the seemingly wrong actions of masters like Joan of Arc, who led armies and killed and performed many actions which, according to the second law, are wrong. Yet she was acting under the direct commands of her own inner law. Therefore, what she was doing was right. This is why we should never judge the actions of another. Joan of Arc said, "I would rather die than do something which I know to be a sin or to be against God's will." To conquer suffering, every being must act in accordance with the one law within themselves. Yet how can we act in accordance with this law if we do not even know who or what the being is? Every soul who lives, breathes, works, and acts in ignorance of their true purpose in life is wasting their time. Not only that, they are deepening their own suffering because their every action is performed in ignorance of their own inner law. We who live and act in ignorance of our own inner spiritual and psychological root commit crimes daily because we act without knowing the right way to act. Not only do we contradict the first law, we contradict the second law. For this to change, we need to awaken consciousness from moment to moment and listen to our consciousness. For this to change, we need to awaken consciousness from moment to moment and listen to our conscience. Our conscience, intuition, tells us right from wrong, how to act and when. This is the first step toward negotiating our karma. The one law within us guides us through the heart, yet to hear that guidance, we need a quiet mind. Only you can know what is right for you to do, because only you are directly connected to your divine source. No one outside of you can ever give you advice more accurate than what you can acquire within. The innermost guides through the voice of silence. To hear that voice, our mind must be silent. To hear that voice, we must consciously remember to listen for it from moment to moment. Then, when hearing that guidance, knowing intuitively, consciously, how and when to act, we can change the course of our life under the guidance of our innermost being. This cannot happen if we are influenced by our desire. Luke 16, Jesus says, "No servant can serve two masters." In many cases, we already know what we should do, but we do not want to do it because we want to pursue the will of our desires. Humanity is enslaved by desire. Humanity's actions are motivated by craving, aversion, and ignorance, the three factors that create suffering. Humanity suffers because the source of our action is desire, self-will. Humanity ignores the urges of conscience, preferring to listen to the urges of desire in the form of lust, pride, envy, jealousy, fear, etc. To act on divine will, we must deny our own self-will. Jesus said, "If any man will come after me, let him first deny himself." By denying our desires and doing what we know is right, we perform a superior action that overcomes inferior actions. This is the first step in the negotiation of our karma. Karma is not a mechanical law. It is managed by conscious intelligence. The first manager of cause and effect in us is our innermost being. When we do what is right, we are rewarded by our being. When we act improperly, we receive what we deserve as given to us by our innermost beings. Behold, happy is the man whom God corrects. Job 5.